mode.
Namaskara, Swagatam. Just want to announce the class number and the date today. This is class number 75. The date is May 22nd, 2010. Okay. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bhyata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhautame Bho Rama Mamuddhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varadane Shri Rama Nama Varadana Onnamiti. Let's chant the Maheshwara Sutrani. So, Ayurn, Rilruk, Ayong, Ayauch, Hayavarat, Lan, Nyamanga Nanam, Javanj, Gadadash, Jabagadadash, Kapha Cha 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 Tav, Kapai, Shashasar, Hal, iti Maheshwara Sutrani. The last time we were halfway through this, the declension of this Rama Shabda. We were talking about the Chaturthi Ekavachanam. So we had Rama plus Nye. I think that's where we stopped last time. So let me start with that again. So we are looking at Rama plus the Chaturthi Ekavachanam, the Supratyay is Nye. This is always the first step. You take the Pratipadikam and you add the appropriate sup ending. There is no exception to this. After that, the sup ending might drop, it might change, it might go through, it might get some augments, a lot of things might happen. But always go through these steps. The first step, everybody in the class should know the first step. So you take the Pratipadikam, and as the Vivaksha of the speaker is, means the role of the word in the sentence, whatever role it has, accordingly, we have to bring in the appropriate sup ending. So we are looking at the Chaturthi Ekavachanam, Rama plus Nye. Last time we already saw this sutram. The sutram which comes here is Ner Yaha. Ner Yaha. Now always keep track of where we are in the Ashtadhyayi. We'll never lose track of that. So the danger of what we are doing here, not what we are doing in the sense of the Siddhanta Kaumudi methodology, which is to derive the forms. You lose track of the Ashtadhyayi topography, sequence of Ashtadhyayi. So Ner Yaha is coming in 7.1.13. In the beginning of 7.1, come all these Pratyaya adeshaha. When Pratyayas get substituted, that section is beginning of 7.1. So also, as I mentioned to you last time, I think most of you know the form Ramaya, Narayanaya Namaha, Devaya Namaha. So it's a well-known form. That's good. So you already know what the answer should be. It should be Ramaya. But you can now see how the Panini engine, derives this form. So since you already know the answer, it's a good thing to know. But still, pay attention to see how this the parampara, how Panini does it, because this is the reason why Panini does in a certain way, because there is the shortest way to do it. Okay, so Ner Yaha, what does Sutram say? Always read the Vritti to see what the Sutram is saying, because unless you know what the Anuvrittis are coming down, etc., you will not get the full meaning of the Sutram unless you read the Anuvritti, the Vritti. So Vritti is what explains the Sutram. So what explains Sutram, which takes into account all the Anuvrittis, all the interpretations, sometimes some tweaking is involved. Everything comes in the Vritti. So Vrittis are meant to be memorized. So what does the Vritti say? Atuangat parasya Ner Yadeshaha. So if we have an Angam, which is the base, which ends in short A, then following that, the Nye gets substituted by the Ya Shabda. The Ya means the Yakara with the Yakara. So it gets substituted by Ya. So that's what this Sutram is saying. Because we are right now in the Angasya Adhikaraha. Angasya Adhikara is done in Ashtadhyayi from 6.4.1 to end of 6.4. As I mentioned to you a few times, that the structure of Ashtadhyayi is that in chapters 3, 4, and 5, Panini puts in all the pratyas in place, the affixes. In chapter 3 deals with dhatus, chapter 4 and 5 with pratipadikam. So chapter 3 deals with verbal forms, and verbal participles. Chapter 4 and 5 deal with declensions and also derived pratipadikams, what we call tadhitas. And after that is done, then you come to chapter 6, 7, and 8 for the most part to finish the completed form. So within that, there is chapter 6.4 starts the angasya adhikara. It's a very important adhikara, angasya. It goes up to the end of 7.4 angasya. Now angam is a relative term. It's a relative term. So when you add a pratyaya, the item to which the pratyaya was added, starting from that up to the pratyaya is the angam. So yasmat pratyaya vidhi tadadi pratyaya angam. So a relative term. It's relative because for that pratyaya, that is the angam. So here for Rama, we had Rama, and then we added the pratyaya nye. So there's nothing else in between here. So the entire angam is Rama. So Rama is the angam. So ato angat. Always check that all the conditions are applied to your situation before applying any sutra. This is a very good habit because otherwise we get into some problems. Without checking the vritti, if we apply sutras, then that gets us into trouble. So ato angat parasya near ya adesha. So in our case, everything is satisfied because we have Rama ending in a, and it has the angasanya. Following that, we have nye, and nye become ya. So very simple sutram. See, the individual Pani sutras are nothing very difficult. They are very straightforward sutras, nothing to scratch your head too much about. Very simple. So make them your own, understand them, and practice them. Starting with the Gita, of course. So that's what we did last time. So we replaced the nye with ya. So we had a situation where we have Rama plus ya. Rama plus ya is what we got. So we applied this sutram 7.1.13. So we applied 7.1.13 and we got Rama plus ya. Applied 7.1.13 and got Rama plus ya. And then we have to now plus ya. Okay. And now at this point, we want to apply a sutram subicha, which we had before. We had sutram subicha before, and if you just to refresh your memory, what did that sutram say? Is yanyadau supi atongasya dirghaha. Same condition, atongasya, which we already have. Rama is ending in short a. And if we have a supratyaya, which begins with a yain letter. Now yain, what is yain? If you look at the Maheshwar Sutrani, then the letter yain will be from the yavarat. So yavarat lanyamanganam javai. So from here to here is the yain pratyahara. And in that, of course, the ya is definitely in there. That's the very first member of that. So the pratyaya was ne, it became ya, and this ya now begins with the ya. So it will qualify for that, the sutram subicha. So subicha wants to come for application now. But that requires the sup pratyaya to follow. Now the issue here is that, what is sup? Sup is, of course, our list of this 21 affixes in 412, su, aujas, auchas, and all that, which we saw. In that, ya itself is not there. The ya has come as an adesha for nye. So now, at face value, the ya is not a supratyaya. In fact, the ya is not a pratyaya at all. It's just an adesha. It came as a substitution. So now, applying subicha creates a problem for us because ya is not a supratyaya. It's not a pratyaya at all, as a matter of fact. So then comes a very important concept, which is why I stopped last time at this point. And this sutram is the sthanivad adesha anal vidhau. Sthanivad adesha anal vidhau. Now what this is saying is that the sthani is a placeholder. That is, the sthanam, of course, is a place. Sthani is one who has the place. Means that is the place of the operation. The item which is in the place of the operation, that is a sthani. So in our case, the sthani is nye. Nye is a sthani. That was operated on. That's the patient being operated on is nye. So I'll put here, is in our case, the sthani was nye. And the sthani is nye. So that's what we had. in place of that, we got an adesha, which is the ya. So what this sutram says is that sthanivad adesha. So sthanivad. So ya adesha. Nye sthanivad acharati. So the adesha ya behaves like the sthani which was nye. Now what do we mean by behaves like means what? Behaves like means what? It takes the properties of the sthani. It takes all the properties. For example, the nye was a pratyaya. So now even the ya, which came in place of nye, will get the pratyaya sanya. It will be called pratyaya. The nye was in the sup pratyahara. So now here also the ya will also be sup pratyahara. So they will also get that. The nye, for example, had the nya as an it because of the shakvatadite. That beginning letter nya was a marker. So now even the ya adesha, the ya which has come in place of nye, will also be considered to have nya as an it. So all these properties of the thing which was substituted come down to the substitute. Very, very important concept. This is going to be used everywhere, all the time. All the time. So please pay attention to this, that that when a substitute comes in, it takes all the properties of the item being substituted. Except, there's one condition, it is anal vidhau. So sthanivad adesha anal vidhau. Anal vidhau means what? Is that al, what is al? Al means any letter. Because in the Mahayasha Sutrani, we start from ayun all the way to hal. So the pratyahara al includes all the letters. So al vidhau means a vidhi, an operation, which depends on a specific al, specific letter. If that is the case, then the adesha will not be sthanivat. For example, in our case, can we say that if there is a vidhi which says that this vidhi will apply only to a pratyaya which is ajadi pratyaya. Now, the nye was ajadi pratyaya because when you removed the anubandha, the a was remaining behind. But when the ya came in now, the ya is not ajadi pratyaya. It has sthanivad bhava, but we cannot count on the specific letters of that which is substituted. So the properties are taken, but it does not take this, it obviously cannot take in those specific letters which were substituted. So if there is a vidhi which says that the a gets substituted by something, then this one cannot take it. The ya cannot take it because it doesn't have this, the letter a is not there. It is, see, the properties are fine. It's a pratyaya, it's a supratyaya, it's a nit pratyaya also. So the markers come down. The it letters come down to the adesha. The it letters come down to the adesha, but not the specific letters of the sthani. So if any vidhi depends on the specific al of the sthani, that vidhi will not apply to the adesha which was made. So that is what this sutram is saying. So in this we're going to see this many times. So keep this one in mind. Sthanivad adesha anal vidhau. One of the basic principles of the Ashtadhyayi, that any substitute takes all the properties of the item which was substituted, except if there is a vidhi which depends on a specific letter of the item substituted, it will not take it. That will not work. Now that is the reason why I always say is that don't skip any steps. Okay, let me see. What's the other question? Yes,
Satish ji.
Yes.
The question I have is, this 63 sthanivat adesho analvidho. Does it mean that we cannot take the Rama a plus a and apply the rules?
Hold on. You're talking about at this stage with this one, Rama a?
Yeah. See, after ya comes, if you say that the original pratyaya still is supposed to be taken as existent, then are we saying
you can apply Vriddhi Rechi then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. But that Vriddhi Rechi depends on the specific letter A being there, which Ya doesn't have anymore.
Yeah, and this Analvidha Sutra, does it does it prevent that from happening? Is that what it is?
Anal, that's exactly what it is doing. Is the
Okay.
anal vidau say that you cannot take the operations depending on the letter A.
Yeah.
So vritti rechi has no application now.
Yeah. So that is what it is preventing it from happening.
Exactly. In this case, in other cases there will be other things. For example,
Yeah,
let me give you another quick example. Maybe it also. So let me finish this one. The sthani is nye, and here the adesha, just to keep the document complete, the adesha is the ya. So ya will get all the properties of nye, exactly like a pratyaya, supratyaya, as and it, all that, but it will not get the specific letter A in that. Let me give a quick example. For example, it says, let's see. For example, if you have the pratyaya twa comes, let's see. If you take a dhatu and it's like having done something. Having done something, if you have to use a pratyaya, if you say dhatu is, let's say, pat, say dhatu pat, and then add the pratyaya twa, becomes patitva, because the id agama comes here, patitva. We have not studied that as yet. I'm just a quick example for you. So it becomes patitva, because you add an id agama. So this id agama depends on the pratyaya beginning with a val letter. Because the twa is beginning with a ta, the ta is letter val letter, therefore the idagama comes here by twa. Now what happens is that if the dhatu pat takes any upasarga, then the twa becomes lyap. There's a sutram for that. We have not said any of these things. I'm just giving you an example of the anal vidhau, which what Pasu is asking. So if you take an upasarga, I don't know if this makes this upasarga has any use, but let's take some, take pat, and then if you add the twa becomes lyam. Now this ya has sthani vad bhava, of course, as we just said. So it'll have the kaz in it. It'll be a krut pratyaya. It'll be a pratyaya, all that. But it is no longer valadi. So this year cannot take an idagama. This year cannot take an idagama. It cannot. Because that idagama depends on the pratyaya becoming valadi. So that was a specific letter property of the twa. This letter ta is a val letter. That cannot be now used by the ya anymore. This ya cannot now take the specific letter ta and use operations based on that ta. So that is what anal vidau is doing for you. So this ya will get the properties of twa in the sense of, the being a pratyaya, being krut pratyaya, having kaz and it, all that it will take. But it cannot now take recourse to the specific letter ta which was there, which was valadi, which triggered some operations, in this case bringing the e. So that it will not be able to take. So that is what is saying. And I think Vasu is right in this case also. If we had Rama plus A, and if the year had sthani vad bhava without the condition of anal vidau, then we have vritti rechi would have come. So all that will be stopped by that anal vidau. So good, that's what it is saying. So the reason, of course, we need to bring the sutra in right now is that we need that ya, we need this year to be supratyaya. Otherwise we cannot apply subicha. So subicha dirgha has to be done. So that could not be done until the year had a sthani vad bhava of nye being a supratyaya. That property has to flow through down to the ya. Okay. So this is a very, very important concept. We're going to see it many times. So you will be we'll lot of chance to practice this one. We'll be able to practice this a lot of times. So remember this: anything which comes as a substitute, it takes the properties of the thing which came. See, just what's your question? Vasu?
Yeah, Sateshji, I have another question.
Yes.
When the ya has come, is still considered a pratyaya, or the pratyaya has elided?
No, probably it's pratyaya, still pratyaya. Pratyaya is a sanya. So it gets a pratyaya sanya also. It gets. It is a pratyaya.
It's a pratyaya. There is no pratyaya lope, pratyaya lakshanam bringing in all the qualities. No.
No, the pratyaya lakshanam that also you can do, but it's pratyaya lopa we don't have. We have an adesha right now.
Okay.
So this is an adesha. Pratyaya lopa means pratyaya lopa takes place. That's a different thing. We don't have lopa right now.
Okay.
We have an adesha right now. So it has a pratyaya sanya, it has a subpratyaya sanya, which is, so now we apply subicha, which you already studied last time. So, and that says that one more time, yayado supi atongasya dirghaha. So now we can make it ramaya, ramaya. So that is the two-step process we got. So I'm going to come down here, finish it down here, and make it ramaya was subicha, ramaya. So that was where we were last time. So this is the chaturthi ekavachanam, and we put the number down here. So this is by subicha. That is 73102. 73102. We got the dirgha 73102. So the next one, when we take Rama plus the Bhyam, again the same sutram, subicha, which we already saw in the Tritiya Dvivachanam, same thing. See, this Tritiya Dvivachanam, Chaturthi Dvivachanam, and Panchami Dvivachanam, they are going to be the same forms. So there is really no exception to that. No? That the Tritiya Dvivachanam, Chaturthi Dvivachanam, the dual case of the third, fourth, and fifth dual number, I should say, dual number of the third, fourth, and fifth case is always the same form. So once you got Rama Bhyam in the Tritiya Dvivachanam, you're going to get the same form in the Chaturthi and Panchami Ekavachanam. So Rama Bhyam, only sutram there is subicha again, subicha. See, because you have Adantamangam and we have a Pratyaya which is subpratyaya, which is Yayadi Pratyaya, get Rama Bhyam. So the next which comes is Rama plus Bhyas. So now we are looking at the Chaturthi Bhuvachanam. So Chaturthi Bhuvachanam we'll get Rama plus Bhyas, Rama plus Bhyas, Rama plus Bhyas. So here what we could have used subicha probably here also, which might have come Rama plus Bhyas, but we have a special sutram here which says that Bhuvachane Jali. So Bhuvachane Jali, which is what I wanted to see. Subicha was, the number was 73102, 73102, and now this one Bhuvachane Jali is what you're going to see. The next sutram here is, by the way, the Gita example for you comes in the 16th adhyaya. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata mashucha sampadan daivi mabhijato si pandava. So Daivi sampatti leads to liberation, vimokshaya. Nibandhaya surimata. The asuri sampatti leads to bondage. That's 16.16.5 in Bhagavad Gita. It's a very common, of course you know words like Namah Shivaya, Namo Narayanaya. So these are all very, very common forms. So that sutram is Nyeryaha and Subicha. So let's, okay, so let me, if you want, I can go to the Gita, chapter 16, Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya Nibandhaya Surimata Mashicha Sampadam Daivi Mavijato Si Pandava. And he said, don't worry, Arjuna, you are born with a divine disposition. So this comes, here it is, Vimokshaya, Nibandhaya, so both of them are coming. There are many more in Gita. See, Rama Shabda is one of the most common words in the masculine, and so you can have many examples. Today, hopefully, we'll complete this Rama Shabda. So I would request you to go through the Gita and try to practice this sutra. See, the objective of this class, I was thinking about it, is going to be that I hope with the help of all of you, we can leave behind these documents for the next generation of students, where topic by topic, you can go through every Gita shloka and apply the sutras. So people can practice these sutras on the Gita. Unless you practice, they're not going to stick. So once you finish Rama Shabda, Hari Shabda, and the entire Subandha Prakaranam, we can put all those rules in the Gita. And even though they might repeat many times, it's okay. Let them repeat, and you can practice. So the next level of students, next time when they come, they will have already have all the answers with them. So it'll make it easy for them. That'll be a good seva that we can do as this class for the next students. Okay, so that was the example in the Gita. Now when we have the Rama plus Bhyaha, we get Bahuvachane Jhaliyet. This is 73103. So now we are looking at, so last time the near yaha which you saw was in 7.1. 7.1, beginning of 7.1, the 7.1 is all the pratyaya adesha. In 7.3 is the anga karyam, which is taking place here now, anga karyam. Anuvritti of supi is coming down, anuvritti of ataha is coming down. So these operations here are specific to when a sup affix follows, and the angam ends in short a. So that is what we are looking at. That's why all these groups are coming in, the same area, the sutras are coming here. So Bhuvachane Jali 8 says, Jalado Bhuvachane Supi, Ato Angasya Ekaraha. So Ato Angasya is Ekaraha. One more time, Jalado Bhuvachane Supi. See, these vrittis are kind of relatively simple for us, so I hope we can read them. I've given, the English translation is mine, so any errors please let me know. But the vrittis are from, Siddhanta Kaumudi for the most part, or sometimes some Kashika. Because sometimes Siddhanta Kaumudi is very, doesn't give the whole vritti. He doesn't repeat anything at all, so he doesn't give any vrittis in detail. So Jalado Bahuvachane Supi. What is Jaladi? From Javai up to Hal. So Jal means all consonants minus the nasals and semivowels. That is Jal. So that's why Panini has the pratyaharas. You don't keep on repeating all the time. So, this entire thing about all consonants except semivowels, except nasals. When you just say Jal, that comes in all that automatically. So that is why the beauty of the pratyaharas, Maheshwara Sutrani is like that. So Jalado Bahuvachane Supi. This is Bahuvachanam. We are looking at the Chaturthi Bahuvachanam, Pratyaya being Bhyas. So when we have Sup Pratyaha, which is in the plurals, and it is beginning with a Jal letter, then Atoangasya Ekaraha. In that case, the Angam ending in short A, that case say Ekara Adeshaha. And Alontyasya. Alontyasya means that the Adeshaha will, as a general rule, go in the place of the last Al, Alontyasya. I think we've seen this sutram before, which is when you say put an Adeshaha in place of something, that Adeshaha will, as a general rule, it has some exceptions. It will go to it'll replace the last letter, Alontyasya. And that comes in I think it's 1152, Alontyasya. So, Alontyasya. Means in the place of the last Al, that's all it's saying, Alontyasya, Adeshaha. So what we have is that when we have Rama plus Bhyam, this becomes Ramebhyaha. So, by the way, how come we didn't require Sutram before? How come this is the first time it is coming for us now? What happened before? Did we not need this? Well, let's check the conditions. Did we need this or not before? But before, what we had is that the Sutram requires is the Angam ending in shorta, which of course we've had all through because we had this Rama Shabda only we're talking about. So that condition is satisfied. But Bahuvachanam, okay, we had few of them before. Then why did we not use this when we had Bahuvachanam before? But let's see. In the Ekavachanam we had a Pratyaya Jas, which was not Anubandha Lope As. That was not a Jaladi Pratyaya. It was beginning with the letter A. That is not Jaladi. Same thing in the Dvitiya Bahuvachanam, the Pratyaya was Shas. That was also not Jaladi. Then how about the Bhis Pratyaya? Why not we use this one? Actually, if any of you chant, these Shanti mantras, Bhadram Karane Bhishnayama Devaha, Bhadram Pashyam Akshibhiriratraha, Bhadram Karane Bhishnayama Devaha. Karane Bhi. That Karane Bhi is a Vedic form. So sometimes you will see the sutram being used in the Vedas, but according to Panini, we have what do we have? Ato Bhisa Ais. That Ato Bhisa Ais specifically say the Bhis becomes Ais. So that is why this one was not invoked over there, because Ato Bhisa Ais has a smaller domain. It's an apavada for this, Ato Bhisa Ais. Because Ato Bhisa Ais, that Bhis becomes Ais. And once that Ais comes, it's no longer Jaladi. Again the same thing. Sthani with adesa analid. In place of Bhis came Ais. And that Ais is now can take the property of Bhis, but it will not be Jaladi. It cannot depend on the specific letter, Bha of the Bhis. So when we're looking at the Tritiya Bahuvachanam, we had Ato Bhisa Ais. That was a specific rule, which is a which will otherwise, if you don't give that a chance to apply, it will never apply. Atobhisa is. So that is why we did not need this one at that time, because Atobhisa is an apavada in that sense. It has a smaller domain. It has to apply in that position. So that's why this is the first time. So you should always test these conditions of Panini. Always test all these conditions. Ask the question, how come we are using Sutram now? Before we didn't have this. What was lacking at that time? What condition was missing at that time? And at that time in the Prathama and Dvitiya, the Pratyaya was not Jaladi. In Tritiya, when we had this, it was Jaladi, but Atobhisa is a specific role. So that took precedence. And then once that substitution was done, we got ice. And that has sthani vad bhavaha, but anal vidhav. It cannot take the letter bha with it. So that is why we did this one didn't get a chance. So that is why we are coming it first time now in the Chaturthi Bahuvachanam. All these conditions should be checked by you. That if it's Jaladi, is it Bahuvachanam? Is it Supi? Is the anga ending in short a? This is like like a computer programmer. Check all individual conditions. Anyway, so right now they all have been satisfied for us. Because we have an angam ending in short a. This is Bahuvachanam. It is beginning with a Jaladi, Jal letter. So Ramebhya is the form. Ramebhya. Like Devebhya Namaha. Okay, the Gita example. If you want to look at the Gita example, it is in the document itself. I put that one. So, Nispraha Sarvakamebhyo. Yukta Ityuchyate tada. Sarvakamebhya Nispraha. So a yogi, he has no spraha for any of the sense objects. Nispraha. This nispraha is a Bahuvri compound. That this dhatu spruh requires chaturthi with that. So that is why we have taken this example. So sarvakamebhya nispraha. So one who is devoid of longing towards any of the desires or has no longing for desires. So sarvakamebhya. Sarvakam is a compound, but it doesn't matter. It's still ending in short. It's a masculine noun. Sarvakama plus bhyas becomes sarvakamebhya. So all these rules you can apply them, practice them in Gita. When you get a chance, practice them. Sarvakamebhya. So that was Chaturthi Bahuvachanam. Now Panchami Ekavachanam we already did before. Because Panchami Ekavachanam is what? Rama plus Nyasi. So this one we have already done before, because we already saw the sutram before, which was the Ta Nisi Nyasam Inat Syaha. So that sutram we already saw before. So we don't need to repeat that here again. So Ta Nyasi Nyasam Inat Syaha. So it becomes Rama plus At. Inat Syaha. Becomes Ramat. Ramat. Okay. I'll just go back in the document just to refresh your memory. Is that Ta, Nyasi, Nyasam, Inat, Syaha. I think we saw it in the last class itself. We saw that these three pratyas, the Tritiya Ekavachanam Ta, Panchami Ekavachanam Nyasi, Shashti Ekavachanam Nyas, they become respectively, Yatha Sankyam, respectively. They become Ina, At, and Sya. So right now we're talking about the Panchami Ekavachanam Nyasi. So that becomes the At. So then we do Rama plus At. Then of course we do Akasama Dirgha, which I think all of you know by now. We get the word Ramat. So here also, technically speaking, once this Ramat form is generated, so this is all in the, also to remind you one more time, the Ashtadhyaya is split into two parts. The Ashtadhyaya routine is split into two parts. One is what we call is sapada saptadhyaya, and second is a Tripadi. So always keep that in mind. They're two separate computer programs. Sometimes they interact on exceptional situations, but for the most part, when one program is done, it is done. Then the next one starts. Taking the output of the first one, the second one takes off. So the first 7.1 chapters, they finish all their operations, and then we can go to the last three quarters, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4. So in this Ramat form, this one 7.1.12 clearly is in the first 7.1 chapters. So that is given the first chance. Then we get the form Ramat. And after that, when we go to the Tripadi, the sutra which we have studied, which is the Jalam Jashonte. Jalam Jashonte. We saw it way back, I think, These sutras which we have seen now, we have to remember them and apply them. Is Jalam Jashwante, so when you have a Jal letter at the end, it goes to the number 3, Jash, Jalam Jashwante. So I think we saw it maybe, let's see, maybe I think 4 or 5 classes back we saw that Jalam Jashwante. And that one we can use now here because Ramat is a padanta. Padanta, the taka is padanta because Supting Antam Padam. It's a Jal letter. It's going to go to the number 3 letter, which is Jalam Jashwante. Jalam Jashwante. So then we get Ramad is the form, Ramad. And then Vavasane. Jalam Jashwante Vavasane. So Vavasane says that if it's at the end of a letter, means Avasane, I'm sorry, when nothing follows. When nothing follows. Avasana means nothing follows. When nothing follows, or when you have the meter means the danda comes. Danda means nothing follows. If that is the case, then we have to make it optionally a letter char or the letter jash. Here it is. This was way back on Feb 13th we saw this. Jalam Jashwante. So Jalam Jash Padanta, Supting Antam Padam. This Rama Takara is Padanta Takara is going to become the Jash letter at the end of the Padas. Become Ramad. And Ramad will be here, and then the next thing coming will be Vavasane. Avasane Vartamana Nam Jalam Va Char Adesho Bhavati. So Vavasane finally says is that 8456. So these two sutrams, remember they are quite far apart. One is 8239 and the 8456. So Jalam Jashwante Vavasane. So this will gravitate to the number 3 letter. So it will become, so first go to Ramad, Majalam Jashwante. Very important sutram, which means at the end of a padam, when you have a Jal letter, it becomes Jash. Jash means number 3, Jabagadadash. Jabagadadash is number 3 column. So Ramad. And then Vavasane comes when Avasana, because right now there's nothing following for us. This is not part of a sentence, so we are assuming there's nothing is following right now. Then we get the optional form Ramad. So we're going to get either the 2 forms, Ramad and also Ramad. So it's by Vavasane, Ramad. So this was 8456, 8456. But now the convention in the books and everywhere is to give only that first form Ramad. This is the one which is, as a convention, you're going to see in all the books. You're not going to see, most of the time, you will not see this form. You're not going to see the form Ramad. But technically speaking, these 2 forms are always there. So when going forward, remember that all these places, we have a Jal letter at the end of a pada. You're going to have 2 forms, like Vag and Vak, Marud and Marut. So all of these Jagad and Jagat. So they're always going to have these 2 forms, but the convention is to give the first one only. So from now on, we will not repeat this over and over again. But every time you should know that when we say Ramat, means that there are really 2 forms, Ramad and Ramad. Okay. There's a question here which says, will subicha apply here? Okay. Now subicha won't apply. What is left? What are the conditions of subicha? There was a question from Radha. So the subicha is saying what? That yanyado pratyaya pare. The pratyaya is, what is the pratyaya here? Is we had the pratyaya nyasi. It became art. So subicha will not apply here because we don't have yanyadi pratyaya pare. So we have a supratyaya, but it is not yanyadi because we have a pratyaya beginning with a. Okay, so that is why subicha won't apply here. That is the reason. I think, is that okay? Let me just unmute. Is that okay, Radha? So Radha, is that okay? The subicha won't apply here because of the fact that maybe I think a mic may not be there. Okay, yes, she got it. Okay. All right, so that is because subicha requires the pratyaya beginning with a yain letter, and that we don't have. We have only the a beginning with a, which is not a yain letter. So we got Ramad. And now the next one, again, this same thing, Ramabhyam. There subicha applies because, as I told you before, the Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Dvivachanam, Samanarupam. It's the same form. And then when we go, again, the Panchami Bahuvachanam, same as Chaturthi Bahuvachanam, the Bhyaha. Those 2 also go together. the Chaturthi and Panchami Bahuvachanam, the Bhyaha, Bhyaha. So Rame Bhyaha, same thing again, Bahuvachane Jali et, Rame Bhyaha. So same sutram which we saw right now. In the Chaturthi Bahuvachanam means the fourth case plural and the fifth case plural will be the same form, Rame Bhyaha, Rame Bhyaha, Sarvakame Bhyaha. Okay, now coming to the Shashti Ekavachanam is now we're going to get the form. Okay, maybe I put this in the Osicha. Let me look at this one. Okay, I think this is the wrong order I put over here. I think I should have put the, let me see, because now we are to get the Shashti. No, I'm fine. We are fine. Okay, correct. This one is correct. Because now we are taking Shashti Ekavachanam, which is Rama plus Nyas. So Shashti Ekavachanam, Rama plus Nyas, when we do, we already saw the rule for this. Again, the Ta, Nyasi, Nyasam, Inatsyaha. Ta, Nyasi, Nyasam, Inatsyaha. The same sutra which we saw is going to come is, first of all, when you remove the Anubandha of here, to remind you one more time, is the Lashakvatadite. No technical term can be used until the Anubandhas are removed. No technical term can be used, whether it is a Pratyaya or an Adesha or an Agamaha, even a Dhatu. None of these can be used until it first calls a routine, a small routine in the beginning of 1.3 to strip off the markers. That has to be run before they can come into usage. Okay, and there are only about 7-8 rules over there, which all of you should try to keep handy at all times. Keep handy at all times these few rules which are used to strip out the markers. They are very, very fundamental. They're going to apply to any technical term. And what we have here is that we have this sutram, we say Lashakvatadite. So letter La, the Talavya Sha, and the Kavarga. They are markers. When Atadite, Pratyaya, when you have Pratyaya, which is not a Tadisa Pratyaya, in that case, Lashakvatadite says that this is 138 is the sutram, and by that they become markers. Lashakvatadite. So these few sutras are very important, very fundamental. They have to be invoked all the times, and they also should be Adi Vartamana, the beginning of a Pratyaya. So all that is satisfied for us right now because we have the Pratyaya which is Nyas, and for the Nyas, the Nya is an It. But you know what? In this case, we don't even need to do that. But this is a good lesson for us. What's happening here is that, yes, if we remove the It letters, the Nyas will become Us. But for us right now, the entire Nyas is going to get substituted by what? Sya. Ta Nyasi Nyasam Inat Syaha, which you already used before in the prior example. This is a good lesson. In fact, I'm glad we're doing this right now, because if there's going to be an outright substitution for the whole Pratyaya, then there's no point removing the It letters, because the entire Nyas is going to go and become Sya. So there is no point removed, so that the entire box of Nyas with the Pratyaya inside it and the It letters, the whole thing, the whole package is going to be swapped for the Pratyaya Sya. For the Adesha Sya comes in place of that. So then there's no point removing the wrapping of the package, because the entire package, yes, there was also a question about that. That's correct. So one of the students already has mentioned that. She is correct, that we don't have to remove the Nya over here, the Nya, because even though it's an It letter, there's no point removing that, because the entire Nyas is going to go and become Sya. So that's first thing we want to check. Is that whole thing going to be substituted by something else? If that is the case, then no point removing the It letters. If that is not the case, if the Pratyaya is going to be used, then only send it to that routine to remove the It letters. So that's a good lesson for us. So we can just directly use the sutram Ta Nyasi Nyasam Inat Syaha, and that one, the number again is going to come in 7.1, because it's the Pratyaya Adesha. So it's going to come in 7.1, Ta Nyasi Nyasam Inat Syaha, 7.1.12. So the Sya, the Nyas becomes Sya, Inat Sya. Yes, Vasu has a question.
Satishji.
Yes.
My question is for a beginner.
Go ahead.
For a beginner, the tendency would be to take that remove the ith and start attaching it. And what is the rule which says that if I am a computer, then I will go through all these things and then identify this is what it is. Kind of for a beginner, the risk is the Rama plus A will become immediately Rama, and we may think that it is.
So even they will not become Rama because because of the sutram, the atobune, that will come and stop that. So, but what I'm saying is that this sutram ta nyasinasam inatsyaha.
Yeah.
It specifically says that. So you have to basically, if you really want to look at computer-wise,
yeah,
you have to scan the entire Ashtadhyayi.
Yeah.
See if there's any statement there which is going to replace the nyas with something else. If that is the case, that is what the entire box is going to be swapped. Then that should be the first step.
Yeah, that I understand. But few human beings, how?
Oh, you can even work backwards then, because if you know the form is Ramasya.
Yeah. Okay.
Then you can say, well, something must be there to remove the nyas and put sya in there.
Okay.
Something. So that would be another way to attack the problem for a beginner.
Yeah, yeah.
Beginner look at the answer for the beginner. Look at the answer.
Okay.
And try to go from there. Or you can also look at a book like Bhumi or whatever. And look at
another, if you can bear with me, I
sure.
need one explanation in simple English. This Purvatra Siddham.
Purvatra Siddham, yes.
Yeah. What is the straightforward, this one?
Purvatra Siddham means that in the eyes of the prior rules, Purvatra, when it comes to the prior rules, means the rules in the Sapada Saptadhyayi.
Yeah.
Asiddham means Tripadi Karyam Asiddham. It is as if it has not happened in their eyes. That's what that means.
In the Tripadi Karyam, it doesn't care whether
the other way around. When in the Sapadi, the Sapada Saptadhyayi, I should say, Sapada Saptadhyayi, they do not see the work that is done in the Tripadi. So which means that is why we say they have to be given a first chance, because even if you do a Tripadi Karyam, the Sapada Saptadhyayi will not see it. So they'll keep on operating on the assumption that it has not happened. So that means that they have to be given the first chance, because they are not going to honor anything done in the Tripadi is not going to be honored by them. So they have to apply and do all their operations first, and when they're exhausted, they'll only go to the Tripadi and don't come back to these people then one more.
But yeah, okay. Now it's getting clearer for me, because I thought if Tripadi can apply it, then it doesn't care whether the other rules existed or not.
No, it's actually almost the other way around. Is the Sapada Saptadhyayi doesn't see anything done in Tripadi. So there's nothing. So it does not care what is done by them. So it is going to keep on applying regardless of what operation is done by Tripadi, operation is done or not. So that is why the Sapada Saptadhyayi has to be finished off first. Because even if you do a Tripadi Karya, it will not be seen by these people. So there's no point doing it, because it is going to go on applying as if that has not happened. So that is why it results in the sequence of the Sapada Saptadhyayi giving the full chance first. Then only go to Tripadi, and then you cannot see back, cannot look back. Then this routine is finished. So that is what happens. So Purvatra means in the eyes of the prior rules. When it comes to Saptami, Vishaya Saptam. In the case of the prior rules, Asiddham. From now on, whatever is done is Asiddham. From 8 to 1, there's the Adhikara which runs. So all these operations are as if they have not happened. That's what it is.
Thank you.
So okay. So we're coming from. So anyway. So in this case, since the entire nyas is going to be replaced by sya, you don't have to go through the routine of removing the it letters. Just use 7-1-12. We get the form Ramasya. Again, very simple sutram. Nothing very complicated. All it says is that if we have an angam ending in short that shashti ekvachan nyas becomes sya, becomes Ramasya. Very straightforward, Ramasya. There's really only one sya ending in Subanta. So the moment you see a sya ending, and if you know it is a Subantam Padam, then you can almost close your eyes and say this has to be in the shashti ekvachanam. So it has to be shashti ekvachanam. So of course, unless it might be a Padipadam ending in sya and might be some bodhanam of that. But anyway, at least 95% of the time, There's no other sya ending. So if it is supratyaya there at the end, you know that, then it's going to be only shashti ekvachanam. So very simple rule. You have to remember this very easily for the rest of your life, where you say, Devasya, Krishnasya, Arjunasya, Lakshmanasya, whatever you might have, Ramanasya, very quickly in your mind you should say, Ta nyasi nyasam inatsyaha. The nyas became sya, and just join become Ramasya. Very simple rule. So shashti ekvachanam we got. Now when you go to the dvivachanam, when you get Rama plus os, the pratyaya is now os, Rama plus os. Then what happens is that we get a special rule, which says, because you want to form Rama Yoho. By the way, in the many examples in Gita of this Ramasya, Apashyad Deva Devasya Shaire Pandavastada, 11th Adhyaya, Apashyad Deva Devasya Shaire Pandavastada. So Arjuna has saw all these things in the body of Sri Krishna, so that's what all that is coming. So there are many, many, many examples in Gita of this here. If this can be a homework for you. Homework for you is find out in the Gita all the sya endings. Many of them are there. So and tag them and put this sutra down over there. So unless you practice, there's no other way. Practice is the only way, and then actually teach somebody else. That really is the way to try to teach somebody else. But before that, practice as much as you can, and then if you have a chance, you can teach somebody else. Then that knowledge will become firm. Saraswati prasidati. Jnanadanena. By giving knowledge, Saraswati is pleased. So Ramasya. Okay. Now when you have Rama Yoho, the next thing which comes is that it says Osicha. Is that Sutram specifically says that when the, and again as Vasu said, if you want to work from both sides, you want the form. One more thing you can do, just to keep it an interesting puzzle for you, is that we see you have this first step, because the Sutram Su out just come out and everything. So the default pratyaya is the os. That much from 412. There's always the first step. You also know the answer. So the answer that we want to get to Rama Yoho. To get to Rama Yoho, because that's the answer. You know that Rama Yoho. You can look up in the book, in Gita comes Keshavajana Yoho Punyam, Rama Yoho. So it's well known. So now what do we need? What can we do? What operation can we do? In fact, this is how Panini formulated the rules. He looked at the final answer. Rama plus os is the default. Why is it the default? Because in many other shabdas, Rama plus, that Padipadikam plus os gives the right answer. So os is the default. So what operation can I do here to get the form Rama Yoho? Of course, the H-O-Y-A Sandhi, you know that. So if you can make the ending of Rama into Rame, you're going to get this form. So it's also something that you can do. You can look at the answer, look at the rules that you already know, and then try to see what we are missing. This is a very wonderful way to learn this, also this grammar. See what you are missing. And then you can also try to take a guess of where that rule might be. If you know what operation you're looking for, you can then guess as to where the rule might be in Ashtadhyayi. Because you already saw the Sutram Bahuvachane Jali. We just saw that Sutram today, when you get the Ekara adesa. So right below that might be this Sutram, which tells us that you get the Ekara adesa when Os follows also. In fact, it is. If you look at the Ashtadhyayi, in the same adhikara of that subicha, and supi anuvritti comes down, in 7.3, you have the Sutram Bahuvachane Jali. And we want the A to come here also, Bahuvachane Jali. So there you can see that Osicha, right next Sutram under that. So Bahuvachane Jali and Osicha. So that is one. Now the reason why, see, Panini has many reasons to why. Now why did he not make this one into a ya or something like that? Because he also wants to use the next Sutram for the word like Sita Yoho, which we'll see now soon maybe in the next few classes, is that when you want to make Sita Yoho, also you want the same rule to apply. So that's what the next Sutram which Panini puts, is that the Angi Chapaha. So anyway, Anuvrittis are very used most economically by Panini. It doesn't waste any operations. So as long as he can fit them together in one thing, Anuvrittis can be used, he's going to use that. So you can look at the answer, look at what you have, look at what step you are missing. That will also point you in the right direction, maybe, you know. So Osicha says that, just like Bhuvarshi, let's look at the vritti of that. Osicha is Osi pare, atongasya ekaraha. So the only atongasya ekaraha which you saw right here, atongasya ekaraha. Angam ending in short becomes ekaraha. The same thing, atongasya ekaraha. Atongasya ekaraha. That's repeated. Only thing is Osi pare, when Os follows, so when the pratyaya Os follows. So again, nothing very complicated. Is do you have the this is a very beautiful thing. You can just go on a vritti by vritti by vritti by vritti ashtadhyayi and see what conditions are there, and do they apply to you or not? You know, as simple as that. So do we have the pratyaya Os falling? Yeah, we do have it. Do you have an angam ending in short a? We do have it. If that is the case, what do we have to do? We have to make we have to make an substitution of a. Again, alone jasya. In place of the last letter, we have to replace letter A. And then after that, of course, we apply the echo yavayavaha. Echo yavayavaha. And then we get the final form. So that Osicha we applied. That one was number 73104. So we use 73104. So what we do is that make it Rame. Rame plus Os. And we use 73104, and then 73104, and then of course we use Echo Yavayavaha, which you already know. That's the reason why we learned all the Sandhi rules in the beginning itself. They are going to be used over and over again many times. So that's why we learned them first, because they're very fundamental combination of sounds. So they need to be mastered first. Become Ramai plus Os become Ramayoho. Of course, one thing what I'm not repeating here, of course, is that the ending of the ending sa becoming visarga by sasajushoruho and karavasana visarjaniha. Those two I'm not repeating anymore, because I think they're very fundamental. We did them many times. You have the sakara, which is padanta, sasajushoruho, and then karavasanayor visarjaniyaha become ramayoho. So those I'm not putting over and over again. I think all of you are now comfortable with that. In short,
Satishji,
they call it, yes.
I think it is 73104 you said, but you wrote
Yeah,
down
I'm
one.
sorry. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Please correct the mistake, because the recording is going to stay for a long time. So I don't want any typos as far as possible. Thank you. 731. I put 114. Thank you. So that's what it's called as Rutva Visargaha. Rutva Visargaha, which is a short term for Sasajishoruho, followed by the Karavasana Yor Visarjaniyaha. It's called Rutva Visargaha. Rutva Visargaha. Rutva means you get the Ru, and then you get Visargaha. So Rutva Visargaha is this combination of Sasajishoruho and Karavasana Yor Visarjaniyaha. Those I'm assuming you will know them already, so we won't repeat those again and again. So it becomes Ramayoho. Okay, so that was the Dvivachanam, Shashti Dvivachanam. Now when we come to the Bahuvachanam in Shashti, we start with, always as usual, start with the Pratipadikam, start with the Pratyaha, Rama plus Am at this stage, Rama plus Am. And now comes the specific rule which says that Rasvanadhyapo Nut. Rasvanadhyapo Nut. What does this one say? Now we jump to a different section, by the way. Notice that. So far we're looking at the adesha in the beginning of 7.1. We're looking at the anga karyam towards the end of 7.3. But now we are going to 7.154. Now why do we jump like that over there? Because this is neither an adesha, it's not an adesha. And this is not depending exclusively on the pratipadikam ending in short a. Well, this has three items, rasva, nadi, apo, nut, rasva, nadi, apo, nut. So this nut agamaha comes in three different situations, not only for this Rama Shabdaha. So that is why it is not in our other section there. It's in a different section, rasva, nadi, apo, nut. So what it says is that still angasya adhikara only, but in a slightly different place. Rasvantad, Nadyantad, Avantad Changat, Parasya, Amaha, Nud Agamaha. One more time. Rasvantad, The Pratipadikam ends in a short vowel. See, Rasva, Dirgha are only for vowels. Only for vowels. So when Rasvanta means it has to be Ajanta Pratipadikam. There's no Rasva, Dirgha question for Hal, for consonants. The consonants cannot be pronounced on their own. They cannot be pronounced. They depend on a swara to be pronounced. So anytime you see Rasva, Dirgha, Guna, Vriddhi, all these are only for Ach letters. Rasvantad means it has to be a short, means it has to be vowel only, nothing else. So Rasvantad, Nadyantad. Nadyantad we have not studied as the Nadi Sanya. Those come in the feminine forms, words like Devi, etc. So there we're going to get this sutram will also apply. But since we have not studied that yet, we can ignore it for the time being. We'll come back to that when we study these feminine words, which get Nadi Sanya. We will use this same sutram again over there also. See, the good news is that once today we finish Rama Shabda, this is going to be our template now. So going forward, any Pratipadikam which comes, we're going to use these rules. And then if some of them don't apply, they don't apply. Then we might need some other rules. But our basic set is now ready. So any Pratipadikam which comes now, we're going to start with these steps and see. We need to add only one or two more, or maybe 2-3 more rules here and there. But our main set is now ready. That is why we don't want to memorize the Shabda Manjari. There's no need to do that. Because, see, first of all, we all going to be, mostly of us are going to be reading only, not composing. The way to compose is to first read a lot, then compose. And while you're reading, you already have the answer in front of you. So you can start making, if you know these basic rules, you can make educated guesses of what it might be. And then try to go and find the exact answer. If you memorize Shabda Manjari, it will be much harder to do it. This is for Subantas. When you go to Tingantas, it's almost impossible to memorize all the Tingantas. It's impossible. How can you memorize all of that? And it doesn't make any sense also. So that is why this Panini engine is indispensable. So even though it might look like it's taking some extra effort at this point, because you know Ramasya, you know Ramanam, you know Ramaya, still it pays to go the Paninian way in Subanta. And Tinganta, there is no choice at all. Okay, so one more time, Rasvantad, Nadyantad. Nadi Sanya we don't have right now, so let's skip it for the time being. It is very important. We will see that in the feminine form when we do, we will come back to that. And Abantach, word like Sita, Lata, Rama, those are also feminine forms ending in the pratyaya ap. This ap is a feminine affix, which is added as a general rule to any Pratipadikam ending in short a. It adds the ap, tap, and becomes a, long a. But anyway, that's just in brief. We don't have that right now, so let's skip that. So that Nadyanta, Abanta will apply to some feminine forms ending in long e or long u, and also the ones ending in a long a, which we don't have that. So right now we only have Rasvantad. Rasvantad we do have. Rasvantad because Rama is ending in short a, so that one we need. So Parasya, Amaha. So the Am takes the Nud Agamaha. So this is an Agamaha now. This is not a pratyaya. This is not an adesha, I'm sorry, not an adesha. So agamaha, mitravad agamaha, shatruvad adesha. So an agama mitravat, he comes and joins the sthani. Shatruvad adesha, it replaces bumps out the sthani, and he kills the sthani, takes his place. So mitravad agamaha, shatruvad adesha. So you always remember that. So maybe we'll put that up here. So when you say an agamaha, and how do we know it's an agamaha? Because look at the it letter, the it letter ta over there. It will have no prayojanam if that were an adesha. That letter ta is of course an it by halantyam, but if we that's the tip off that this is going to be a agamaha. So mitravad agamaha. So mitravad, I guess I should put mitravad agamaha. This is very, very well quoted simile kind of mitravad agamaha. Shatruvad adeshaha. Shatruvad adeshaha. Okay, so this comes and goes to come and join this arm. So arm is going to be joined by, going to be augmented by the nut. I mean the nut, as we saw, the letters, it letters are the ending ta by halantyam. Then upadesha ajjanunasika it. The u is an it letter also. So now in this case we have to strip off the it letters because we have to use this n. The n. Then where does this n go? We already saw that sutram before. Adyantau takitau. This ending ters and it is telling us that put this na to the beginning of the wherever it's going, the beginning of the sthani. So whatever the sthani is, put this letter na, this agamaha, to the as the beginning member of that. Add it to the beginning is what that as an it puts. So this agamas Pani will have these it letters to tell us where they are going, and there are mainly three of them, which tells us the adyantau takitau. So the agama which has ters in it goes to the beginning, which has kers in it goes to the end, and which has mers in it that goes after the last vowel of the term that it's going to. So it'll come in between, but it'll follow the last vowel of the sthani, whatever the sthana is. It'll go and take after the last vowel. It'll go in there. So that is the way these agamas are. Of course, sometimes there might be some other way it might go, but the it letters are going to be like that. This t, k, and the ma. So we had a sutram before, which was the adyantau takitau. Adyantau takitau. It's a paribhasha sutram which tells us where to put the agamas. Adyantau takitau. And that one is telling us that you put if you have ters in it, put that agama to the beginning of the term which it is going. So I think we saw it way back. So yeah, now as we learn more and more sutras, the key is to practice these and hopefully recall these as we need them. So let me see. Let me have to go back a little bit more to Supaha. First, I guess we need to index these sutras now because now this is becoming a big document. So we have to find a way to quickly jump to that. So before there were only a few of them, so it was easy to jump to a specific sutram. But it must be coming. Adyantau takitau. This is the first chapter sutram. That is the one which is this choti. Here it is, Adyantau. It is way back on Feb 27th, Adyantau takitau. So that which has the ters in it becomes an adi avayava, which has kers in it becomes a antya avayava. Okay. What is sutram for ma as an it? Oh, the ma as an it in what? Okay, there's a question here. Now, agama is nut agama. So the ta is in it by halantyam, and the u is in it by upadesha aj anunasika it. These are two sutrams. So, okay. So adyantau takitau. So that's 1146. And the other one I was talking about was bidacho antyatparaha. Bidacho antyatparaha. If you have ma as an it in an augment, it will go after the last vowel of the term. So these are two main sutras of where to put agamas in. Where do you add the agama? To join it to the beginning, to as an it, put at the end if ma is in it, and if it's coming after the last, beginning if to as in it, ending if ma is in it, and then ending if ka is in it. I keep making the same mistake. One more time. Beginning if it has to as in it, ending if it has ka is in it, and after the last vowel if it has ma is in it. So beginning if it has to as in it, ending if it has ka is in it, and after the last vowel if it has ma is in it. So here it is. Adyantau takitau. Midachu antyatparaha. These two sutras. Okay. So right now for us, agama is nut. It's going to join to the beginning of the pratyaya, because the arm is taking the nut agama is coming to the arm. So arm is coming to the arm is taking the nut agama. So it's going to the beginning of arm. It's also a shashti. The ama is a shashti. So for that the agama is nut. So after we put that in there, the 7154 when we add, we can get the form. So here we get Rama plus this nut comes and joins, becomes Nam. 7154. Okay, 7154. Because yada agamas gani bhavati. It comes and joins that piece. It doesn't stay as a separate member. Okay, you have to keep that in mind. And agama only comes and joins to that term. It becomes part and parcel of that term. it is not a separate block. It just becomes part of that block. So it cannot interact with anything outside. There's no interaction there. Like, it only comes and modifies that block. That's what it does. So it becomes Rama plus Nam. And then comes the next sutram, Nami. Nami. It says Nami pare. When this term Nam follows, Nami means the arm with the nut agamaha. The arm pratyaha with the agama nut. Ajantasya, ajantangasya dirghaha. Not only for Rama Shabda, any ajanta angam which we have, that will take dirghaha. So if you have, so right now we have Rama ending in short A, but it could be any aj, any end. So when you take the word Hari, become Hari Nam, Guru will become Guru Nam. So they also use the same sutram. So that's what I'm saying. When you get to the word Hari, then there will be no need to learn anything else. We already know sutras. Rasvanadhyapo Nut and Nami. So when the moment you apply Rasvanadhyapo Nut, always think of Nami after that. Because once that Nut comes, it becomes Nam. Once the Nam is there, then Nami should be checked out. We'll apply there or not. So Rasvanadhyapo Nut, immediately think of Nami. So that's that sequence. Okay. So what we have is that Nami pare, ajantangasya dirghaha. So we have, and I give the example in Gita, which is that Vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vasavaha. So Vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vasavaha. So Vedanam, Devanam, Ramanam. So all these are going to be, Jananam. Jananam punya also comes in Gita. Jananam punya karmanam. So many forms of this Nami. So Nami means that the preceding vowel becomes dirgha. The moment this Nudagama comes, makes into the Nami, then the prior one becomes, the prior vowel becomes dirgha. So we use 643 to make it Rama. And now at this point we have finished all the sapada saptadhyayi karyam. Now all the work which should be done in the prior routine, which is the first 7.1 chapters, has now been finished. The sapada saptadhyayi karyam samaptam. So now we can start looking at the Tripadi. There's no other rule which is coming to apply in the sapada saptadhyayi. So now, which we saw already before when we did the form Ramena. So when we did the form Ramena before, what did we use the sutram? Atkupvam num yavayapi. Atkupvam. So we had the at, ku, pu, am, and the num yavayapi. So that we saw that when we did the form Ramena. Here it is. I'll go back. So we are trying to make the na into a na. Sutram we have seen before, that if you have the nimittam for changing the na to a mudhanya nakara, is either the repha has to be there preceding, or it has to be the mudhanya shakaraha, and by the vartikam it can also be the rikaraha, the vowel r. And it says that the atkupwang means the ang, at ku pu ang. So any letter of the at pratyahara can intervene between this, the nimittam and the karyam. Nimittam has to be either the repha, the letter ra, or the mudhanya sha, or it can be the vowel r. These three can be nimittam. And the karyam is to change na into a na. And intervention can be with any of these in any combination, either singly or combined. And what are they? The at pratyahara. So what do we have right now? Let's look at our string. What we have right now? We have ra, ma, nam. So this is nimittam is here. The ra is nimittam here. Nimittam is ra, and the karyam is potentially here. The na is the karyam. So if we split out the string, what do we get? We have ra. So ra. Then we have ma, and we have a, rama, na, and then we have a. We have ma. This is what we have, ra, ma, nam. This is also a good habit, by the way, to strip out the whole string, just like mathematics, so you don't have any confusion, what is. So take each al letter, al. So take ra, a, ma, a, na, a, ma. Okay. So now nimittam is here. That is the repha. So that we have to start from there. So that he is the nimittam. And then the karyam is here. So he is the karyam. Now what intervening between these two is you have the a This is an at pratyahara because ayin, or hayavarat up to there. So the a is part of the at pratyahara. This is the pavarga, pa, that you know that. This is also an at letter. So all these three are allowed to intervene in any combination. So that is why now everything is, because it has to be samana pade also. This is a single padam, suptingantam padam. This is not a compound or anything like that. Single padam. Also nakara should not be at the end of a pada, which we don't have. When we did the form Raman in the Dvitiya Bhavachanam, that because it was the Padasya Sutram, if it's the end of a pada, then that na will not change to na. But this one is not the end of this, in the middle right here. So this is not padanta, nakara. It is samana pade with the nimittam. So everything is satisfied. In fact, this is also a good exercise for you. You can go to the Bhagavad Gita and find the places where the na changes to na and see if you can justify that. See, can you find the nimittam there? What is the nimittam there? And can you see what's intervening there? And check it out and make sure that all these are the ones that are allowed to intervene. So you can also do the exercise in Gita also and tag all the nas. See if it is a nimittam which was maybe it was a na and which has changed to na. So like that. So okay, so that's what now. So when we apply our 842 and we get the form Ramanam. So make that into a good habit of stripping out the whole string. So Ramanam by 842. 842, you get the form Ramanam. Ramanam. So 842. Okay, and again at kupu ang num javaya pi. And as I mentioned in the class, the most important ones are this at, kavarga, pavarga. These three. These two are very not that common. So don't forget about these two for the time being. Just remember these three only. At, kavarga, pavarga. These can intervene in any combination between the nimittam and the karya. Okay, so that much is at, pratyahara, kavarga, pavarga. Okay, so we got Rama, Nama as the final form. So we're getting the only one more sutram. Finally, we are at the end of Rama Shabda. So Rama Nam we got. Now when the Saptami Ekavachanam, there's nothing special. We take the pratyaya ni, do lashakko tadjite, and we get the anubandha lope e and ad gunaha. So nothing special. When we do Saptami Ekavachanam, all we do is that we start with, of course, as usual, we're applying 412. The default pratyaya for is Rama plus the ni pratyaya, and then we remove the it letters by lashakva tadjite, and we get Rama plus e, then ad gunaha, 6187 ad gunaha. So we make it Rame. So there was no rule required here. All you did was took the default pratyaya, just did the sandhi karyam, and you got the form which is by ad gunaha 6187, which you already know, the sutram 6187 ad gunaha. That's why again we learned the sandhi rules very first, so we can apply them very quickly when they're going to apply all the time, because they're just the meeting of the sounds. So they're going to have very universal application, sandhi rules. So they're taken first. So Rame is 6187. That's very straightforward. Now Rama plus Os, again the same rule, Osicha, which we already saw before, that Osicha, and it became Ramayoho, because it made the ending. This is also one more rule, by the way. Is this Shashti and Saptami Ekavachanam, they go together. They both are Os pratyaya. So they will have the form will be there. The same form will be there. Shashti and Saptami Bhavachanam will be, the Dvivachanam, I'm sorry. Same form will be there. Barring some rare exceptions, there'll be no same form. So that's we get the Ramayoho. And the final one is Rama plus Sup. Rama plus Sup is the Saptami Bhavachanam. Rama plus Sup, Saptami Bhavachanam. Plus Sup. Now, in this Sup, that U is not an it. This is not a Pratyahara Sup. This is a single affix Pratyaya Sup, which is the Saptami Bhavachanam. This is very confusing, because normally when it says, Suptingantam Padam, all that Sup is Sup really, that U with an U as an it. The Pratyahara Sup is written like this. When you have the Sup, Pratyahara Sup, means the meaning all the 21 affixes. So pratyahara is written like this. It is going to be the with the anunasika, so sup like that. While this one, the single pratyah sup, pratyaha, is saptami bahuvachanam, bahuvachana pratyaha. That will be without that, so we have to watch out for these. So saptami bahuvachana pratyaha will be just the that is without the it, because here the u is not an it, so the pratyaya is sup. So that's what we're talking about right now, is saptami bahuvachanam pratyaya sup. So only thing is that you apply the halantyam, remove that pers and it by halantyam. Now why is that pers and it there for? It's in order to facilitate to make it the pratyahara. In order to facilitate that, Pani puts the it letter per, because then he can form the pratyahara sup from the beginning prathama ekavachanam up to saptami bahuvachanam and make the pratyahara sup. So sup pratyahara siddhyartham. Pakara seats pakara grihitaha, that the pakara has been taken in there, has been put there in order to facilitate the forming of the pratyahara sup. So sup, and also to distinguish this su from the other su on top over there, because there might be some confusion there also. So this also makes it special. When you say sup, it's saptami bahuvachanam, unless of course the u is nasalized, it becomes a pratyahara. Okay, so halantyam, in any case, halantyam, the per goes away. Halantyam 133, so you apply 133 and you get the Rama plus su, halantyam, so 133, halantyam. And now comes on now there's no really karyam here to be done in the sapada saptadhyayi. There's no more rule to apply. They're all nothing, nobody comes for application. So we are done with the sapada saptadhyayi, which means the first 7.1 chapter. So we can put the routine to rest. We can shut it down and then look at the last 3 quarters, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4. And there comes one rule which says adesha pratyayoho. Let's look at that one. This is the final rule for this Rama Shabdaha. It is adesha pratyayoho. What does that say? Anuvritti, let's look at the Ashtadhyayi for a second, not lose this. This 8.3, we are in 8.359 now. So this is kind of a new section for us. Let me give you a brief introduction to that 8.3 section. There is a adhikara which starts in, I think it's 8.354, which is apadantasya murdhanyaha. Apadantasya murdhanyaha comes in 8.354, which says that the in this section, the rule which are applying, they're going to change the apadanta letter which is not padanta, is going to take the murdhanya adesha. It's going to become a cerebral letter. Cerebral letter means the ta varga and also the murdhanya shakara. So this adhikara apadantasya murdhanyaha is running through this 8.3, starting from 8.355. I think it goes from the end of 8.3's adhikara called apadantasya murdhanyaha. In fact, that is the one which stops the padadhikara. So this one goes from 8.355 to end of 8.3, apadantasya murdhanyaha. And that is the one which stops the adhikara which is starting in 8.1, which we saw, which all the padanta rules which coming there. Because it says apadantasya. So the adhikara from 8.116 which is coming down, padasya adhikara, that ends in this one. So at 8.354 ends the padasya adhikara. So we had a padasya adhikara running from 8.116 to this 8.116 padasya. So all the padanta rules like sasajushoruhu and all these things we had, they all in the we had yeah. So actually actually I take it back. Sorry, I missed one step over here. I made a wrong statement. Thank you. It's a correction in the class. Thank you. So if I make any mistakes, please tell me. We need to apply one more step here. Bhuvachane jali. Without that, we cannot do anything. So sorry about that. So because Bhuvachane jali has to be applied first. So that one rule does apply in the Sapada Saptadhyay, Bhuvachane jali. Absolutely correct. That's my mistake. So here, because we already saw a rule today, Bhuvachane jali. Because anyway, we'd have caught the mistake, because when we go to apply this next rule, it wouldn't have worked for us. then we know that we missed one step, we would have found that out. We have Rame plus Su. Bhuvane jali et. In any case, because what would have happened now is that when we go to the next step of applying this rule, adesha pratyayoho, that requires an in letter to precede, in or the ka varga. Unless we apply Bhuvane jali et first, we will not get the in pratyahara preceding. So that's when we have known that we missed one step in between. Anyway, it was my fault. So we missed a step in between, which became Bhuvane jali et, which we already saw today when we did the Ramebhyaha. We have a Bhuvachana Pratyaha, then which is Supratyaha, which we do have, and if it's a Jaladi Pratyaha, which also do have, then Angam ending is short A, it takes an Ekara Adesha. It becomes Rame plus Su. So that was one rule which we had to apply in the, apply in the Sapada Saptadhyayis. There was one rule to apply. So I take that statement back. We have to first apply 73103. And that's, now you know why this, in fact, it's good in a way, because now you know why Panini puts the rules into different sections. Because this 73103 has to be applied first. Then only we can go to the 8359. Because this Ekara has to be put in place first, 73103. So, 73103 applied here. The Bhuvachane jali et. Thank you. So we need that. Otherwise we cannot apply the next two anyway. Okay, so let's look at this last rule. What does it say? It says that the if you have a sakara, dantya sakara, which is either an adesha or pratyaya avayava, it either has to be a substitute or it has to be a part of an affix pratyaya. It will become murdhanyaha. But when? If the preceding letter which is preceding that, is either the in pratyaya letter or a cover letter. It should be either an in or a ka varga letter. What is in? In means you start from the I, so start from E and go all the way to the nakara here. So this is in. In doesn't stop here. In always goes to the next. Now, we had that before. Is when we say in, it always means from E to the uttaravarti nakara, the second one. So all the way up to this lan. So E, U, R, R, A, O, I, Au, Ha, Ya, Va, Ra, La. So if one of these precedes, then, or the ka varga, which means is ka, ka, ga, one of, what do we have right now for us? We have Rame. So this A is a part of the in pratyahara. That's why we had to do this operation first, which I had missed, but it's correct. We had to do this operation first. Then only we can go to 8359. So we do have the A preceding, and we do have a sakara here, which is part of a pratyaya, because the su is supratyaya is coming in the adhikara pratyaya parascha, chapter 3, 4, 5. So this we brought in the supratyaya by number 412. Let's not forget that. So the sup came in by number 412. So this sup is a pratyaya. So everything is satisfied now. So that we're going to end up with the form Rameshu. Rameshu is going to be the form. Repeat the condition one more time for you. Is that we need a sakara, which is either an adesha, it's either a substitute, or pratyaya avayava, which is part of a pratyaya. In that case, it changed to murdhanya shakara, under condition that letter preceding is either an in letter or a ka varga letter. That's one of the ka varga letter or an in letter. And that this change happens, becomes Rameshu. We're going to see this sutram all the time. It's 8359. You're going to see it literally thousands of times, many hundreds of times. It's a very common condition is there. It's not specific to Rama Shabda at all. We only happen to use it here. In my favorite Gita shloka for this, by the way, it's very nice shloka. If you want to practice this sutram, this Adesha Pratyaya sutram, look at chapter 9 of Gita. Yat karoshi dashnasi, yat joshi dadasi yata, yat tapasyasi kaunte, tat krushamadharpanam. So that is the one, chapter 9, very nice shloka in itself. But let's look at it quickly. Yat karoshi dashnasi, yat joshi dadasi yata, yat tapasyasi kaunte, tat krushamadharpanam. So that in the first line, you have this alternating application of this sutram. This sutram alternates, back and forth in this chapter 9. Yat Here it is, yat karoshi. Look at this she over here. Because the O precedes, the sa becomes sha, become yat karoshi. Next one, ashnasi. Here it was the a preceding. This is not part of the in pratyahara. So this did not become shakara, mudhan shaka, ashnasi. Then yajjuhoshi. Again the same thing. In pratyahara is there, became murdanyadesha. Dadasiyat. Again this is not there because this is the a preceding. So this is a very good shloka to practice this sutram. Adesha pratyayoho. Adesha pratyayoho. Okay. Let's see. I think another question. Does this override? So this is a good shloka from Gita. Yat karoshi dashnasi. Yat joshi dadasiyat. So here we apply the adesha pratyayoho. Here we don't. You apply it here, and here we don't, because in pratyahara is not there in these two cases. This one and this one. This one it is there. So yat karoshi dashnasi yat joshi dadasiyat. There is a question here. Does this override sthanivad adesha anal vidhau? How is 8359 seeing in instead of at? No, see, 8359 rather is coming in the Tripadi section. The Tripadi sees everything of the sapadi, not vice versa. So when 8359 comes, it will see every rule which is coming preceding to that. So the ekara Bhuvane jali was done in 7.1. That will definitely be seen by adesha pratyayoho. As you said, they can look back, they cannot look forward. So and when you have a later rule, it will see all the earlier rules. So 8359 will see everything in Ashtadhyayi up to 8358. The ekara was done in 7.1. So definitely it will see that in, and it will not the so it will see that, because Purvatra Siddham means that the earlier rules cannot see later rules, not vice versa. The later rules, for example, in the Ashtadhyayi, the last rule of Ashtadhyayi sees everything. In Ashtadhyayi, whatever the last rule, that will see every single rule that is coming there. So 8359 will see the ekara. That's not a problem. Okay, now what I suggest to you is that we're out of time. Rama Shabda we have finished today. So please practice and go, because almost every page of Gita, you'll find examples. By the way, in the example from Gita for this one, Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. In the Vibhuti Yoga, Arjuna asks, in what different forms or states should you be contemplated on by me? So you are to be contemplated on by me in what different states? So Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. So bhaveshu, that bhaveshu example is in the Gita. There are many of these. I just took one example. Chapter 10, number 17. So almost every page of the Gita, you will have an example of Rama Shabda. So please practice with the sutras if you can, and gain some understanding of these. Yes, Vasu.
Satishji, a little favor.
Yes.
If you can add the Gita shloka number for Yat Karoshi.
Oh yes, Yat Karoshi. Yat. Okay, I'll practice. So that number was 9.
On record.
Yeah, 927. So Gita 927 is a good practice for that. So I'll put it like that. So Gita 9.27 is for practicing the 8359 sutram. Sutram 8359. So for next time, if you can, and as I said, we are going to try to make these documents, which will hopefully list out all the sutras for the Gita. I mean, I hope all of us can work towards that together. It takes a lot of work, a lot of editing, and because some of them are already been done by Sudhir and by somebody else, and we can hopefully build on that. Take any page in Gita. Just we are out of time, but let me just take one page and show quickly how many forms you can get. See here, like Kaunteya, right here. This is a Rama Shabda Kaunteya. So you can use that sutram. What sutram do you need? Is Ingrasva Sambuddhe. So this Sambuddhi has gone away. Take the next look. It'll always be almost every page you'll find something. Here Mumukto, Vimuktaha. This is also a Rama Shabda. So this is So this is again, you take the next shloka. Anywhere you'll find mostly on every page, like Priyaha. This is Rama Shabda, Priyaha. again Ramo Shabda. So you'll find many of these. Please practice, practice. If you find any questions, please post and we'll try to answer them. Okay, I'll stay back for questions and we'll come back in about 20 minutes. Ramo Raja Manis Sada Vijayate, Ramam Ramesham Vijay, Ramena Viyata Nishachara Chamu, Ramaya Tasmai Namaha, Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham, Rameshittale Sada Bhautame Bho Ramama Muddhara, Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane Sri Ramanama Varanana Onnamaiti. So we'll come back in 20 minutes for the Ramayanam. That'll be class number 76, 76. This was 75. Next one is 76. Again, today's date is May 22nd, 2010. Let's see. I have a question.